Good Yontif. Last Kol Nidre, I stood on this very bema and offered my remarks. There was a large crowd that night, many of whom had attended the dinner served here earlier that evening. Several congregants congratulated me on becoming the president of the temple. Others offered their condolences, but still wished me well. I had the pleasure of announcing that Bruce Rich would be our honoree at the dinner dance to be held in June of 2020. During my message, I outlined goals for the upcoming year and made a personal appeal to you to address our ongoing security issues. Today is Wednesday, September 23, 2020. It is approximately 4:00 p.m. It is not Kol Nidre. The shul is empty, except for limited temple staff. No meal was served today. Because we were forced to postpone our dinner dance, there is no new honoree to announce. The great philosopher Yogi Berra once said, "Nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded." Even Yogi got it wrong sometimes. What a difference a year makes. But does it? I would argue otherwise. There is an expression we are all too familiar with. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Our individual lives have been rocked by COVID-19. We have experienced turbulent changes in our personal relationships, our careers, and our daily living experiences. Yet, while chaos abounds, COVID-19 has cemented the status quo of Temple Beth El as a source of strength, comfort, and stability. As we practice social distancing, Temple Beth El has reminded us that we need not be socially distant. Our Kabbalat Shabbat and Havdalah services seen on Facebook Live are each viewed some 300 to 500 times per week. They have become staples in our lives, where families from near and far can worship together. Shabbat services, streamed live, have enabled us all to share in the joy of Shabbat, B'nai Mitzvot, and our first interfaith Ufruf. Your board of directors and its committees remain active to support your spiritual, cultural, and programmatic needs. We held our first virtual congregational meeting this past June. Normally, we struggle to have 40 members attend, the minimum number needed for a quorum. Yet, 98 people participated that meeting, a record-setting event. Your participation that night reaffirmed the importance of Temple Beth El in your lives. Our programming committee continues to forge ahead with plans for a virtual tour of Israel to be held on October 18th at 1:00 p.m. and the return of Pakapu to be held on December 13th at 11:00 a.m. And most importantly, our Ritual and Services Committee, in conjunction with the rabbi and Sherry Spark, have spent countless hours designing and crafting creative and meaningful services for this high holiday season. And where the temple may have shined its brightest was in its constant, and some might even say unrelenting, efforts to maintain and sustain personal connections with you. What began with frequent letters and emails during an ever-evolving times morphed into personal communications. For those of us who made telephone calls to members, we could hear the joy in your voices after a call was placed, simply to say, "Hello, how are you? Do you need anything? Or do you know of anyone else in need?" I want you to know that we were just as touched to hear your voices as well. Our office staff has received countless thank yous for the punch bowl cards and notes they sent. It is that connectivity that binds us as one. But we as Jews are bound together for other reasons, some of which we wish we could be untethered from. It is said that you can try and manage a chronic disease. You can try and treat it. You can try and prevent its complications, but you can rarely cure it. Anti-Semitism is worse than a chronic disease, and it continues to rear its ugly head. During this past year, there were a record number of anti-Semitic events reported in the United States, including the murder of a rabbi and the wounding of 4 others in a machete attack in New York, and the brutal shootout at a kosher market in Jersey City, leaving 5 people dead. Pennsylvania was not immune to such attacks, ranking 5th among all states for reported anti-Semitic incidents. And in these times of political uncertainty, social unrest, and economic downturn, anti-Semitic incidents tend to increase. Last month, the rabbi and I sent a letter appealing to each of you to make a donation towards our security issues. The assessments levied, coupled with your dues and last year's appeal, are simply insufficient to meet our needs. More work needs to be done, including installing a fence at the rear of the synagogue to protect our children and placing additional bollards around our beautiful building. COVID-19 has not eradicated those security needs. For those of you who have already made a donation, we thank you for your commitment. On behalf of my family and the entire board of directors, I want to thank the rabbi, Sherry Spark, Marla Melman and her entire Ritual and Services Committee, and all of the prayer, Torah, and Haftorah readers, and all the participants for their collective creativity in designing and leading these high holiday services. I also want to thank Michelle Rohrbach and her staff and everyone else who joined together to make these services so unique. So, while I may be alone today, we are Temple Beth El strong. We may not be together in person to pray, but through Zoom and live streaming, we can daven as one. We may not have shared a Kol Nidre dinner together, but with drive-through pickup service, we were all able to eat the same meal on Kol Nidre. We may not have been able to wish one another a Happy New Year face-to-face, but through video uploads, we were able to do so. We may not have heard the cry of the shofar simultaneously, but through our community shofar blowing service program and through drive-through shofar blowing, we could all hear the sound of the shofar. So through imagination and creativity, things really are the same, albeit in a different format. We do, however, look forward to the day we can all be together as one. Or as Yogi Berra would say, let's hope we can make it too crowded. L'shana tova tikatevu.